I'm going to give a brief explanation of how this forming guide works with the spindle. Now here's the new forming guide that I'm using to engrave this hub for Kevin. The forming guide is attached to this forming guide bar, and the bar goes back here and is held right here. You can put different screws in here to hold different forming guides. Some of the forming guides have single screws in them. Some have 4 like this. But anyway, this forming guide has a curve in it. Now, even though the guide here is dished, this spindle is going to mimic this shape. So as this is turned over, that forming guide, the spindle is going to ride this stylus at the top of the spindle is going to ride up against the forming guide. So when it cuts and it follows this forming guide, any cutting path that I take is going to mimic this dish, but down here on the steel it's going to be domed. So Kevin will press this in steel to make dies for you, and even though the die will be dished, when you press a piece in there, it'll have a slight dome to it. Now there's a lock screw right here for the spindle. Right now the spindle is solid in there. You remove this a little bit. Now watch this. This spindle can float up and down. So when I put this spindle right here, that stylus at the top is going to follow whatever shape is on the forming guide. So when it cuts, there will be a cutter held in here, and the work will be brought up to the cutter, and then the cutter will be lowered and it will cut like this. Whatever design I cut in this 1.5 inch area on this piece of steel will have a dome shape. And that's basically what you're going to have as a final product. You're going to have that new design with a slight dome to it. So that's how the forming guide works. Hello again. We're getting ready to start cutting. First, I'm going to cut a circle around the 1.5 inch area using a routing line on my pattern. And I need to put a cutter in the spindle. So, taking a 3/16 collet, put it in this nut. Then I'm taking a 3/16 cutter, carbide, and put it in here. Then I'll tighten it up, and there we go. So I'm going to drop this down, just loosening up a little bit there. I have tightened up this just to route this line, so it's not going to be using the forming guide at first because I'm just routing around this area flat first. So I'm going to raise this up, turn on the machine, make contact. Everything looks good. Looks nice and centered. The reason I'm able to make this circle is using the pantograph arm over here on the pattern, and that stylus is following a circle all the way around here on this pattern. All I have to do is move it like that, and then I lower that cutter to the steel, and it cuts a circle. And that's how I start. And from here on out, I'll be routing more steel away around the edge. And then once I do that, I'll start doing the dome with the forming guide.